You're teed up for Golf News RI TV with your host, Joe Calabro, and his guests. We're talking everything golf around the region and on the tours. Now, here's your host, Joe Calabro.
Hey everybody, welcome to Golf News RI TV. I'm co-founder and CEO Joe Calabro. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Thanks to all of our sponsors who have supported us. Thanks to everybody for tuning in for the last two shows. Hope you guys enjoyed them. Really, some really cool stuff. But we're here today at Wanamoisa Country Club, ahead of my favorite week of the year, a lot of people's favorite weeks of the year, the Northeast Amateur, the iconic third hole right behind us, where I famously, not so famously, put it in the bunker a million times and made a six. But one of the best top holes in the country, certainly one of the best courses in the country. And we're super excited today to be joined by brand new co-chair to the Northeast Amateur, Mick Hogan.
Thanks,
Mick,
Joe.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We were lucky enough to have Ben on last year, and our first year of doing TV, he was nice enough to give us a few minutes. So, always excited to talk to a Northeast Amateur official.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, and glad you're here covering it.
Absolutely. So, we'll start with you. We want to get into the field and some of the players and everything else, obviously. But start with you. You were named co-chair in the off season or over the winter, however you want to classify it. As someone that's been involved with the tournament for a number of years,
yes.
How much does that mean to you? How exciting was that for you?
It's a real honor. I mean, been involved on the committee level since 2019. I was doing housing, so helping out, our contestants, find host families here for the week. And that was a great role. Really kind of was a stepping stone into the position I'm in now. But it's an honor to be the sixth chairman in this tournament's history is pretty amazing. Having grown up here and being fortunate to be up as a child around this event. I got to watch a former chairman, Denny Glass, run a world-class event. Was able to caddy as a young man, host other players as a young kid as well. We lived in the neighborhood, so it's a real kind of sweet moment to sort of be now a co-chair. So just hoping I can, be a good steward and continue to carry this thing forward.
So what kind of responsibilities, what kind of things do you consider, obviously everything, but what kind of is your role as co-chair? Obviously Ben is still on as the other co-chair. Yeah. What kind of role do you play in this whole process of putting this thing together?
So, the two of us are obviously doing a lot of things together. Mm-hmm. This year I think probably my strong suit has probably been a little bit of doing the organizational side of things. Ben has been really great at basically building up this wonderful field that we have. But there's a lot of other pieces that go into this. As I mentioned before, host families, caddies, the club. There's a lot of different parts. So I'm trying to sort of keep all those parts moving together nicely so that when the week comes, it's, it all flows really nicely for everyone. Contestants, members, spectators who come out. And so that's kind of been my emphasis.
The Northeast Amateur will be held here from June 18th to the 21st. Definitely come on down. It's a great field, which we'll get into. It's free to come and watch, hang out, watch some golfers, future pros. I always say Ben talked about it during the media day a couple weeks ago, where the challenge is you never really know, well, sometimes you do, but you never really know who's going to turn into something. So it's always fun to see these guys. And then years later, oh, I saw him and he was like a relative nobody at Wanamoisa, which obviously every so often you have the phenoms and those type of guys, but a lot of times you kind of see guys and then all of a sudden they turn into something later on. So that's the fun of it. It's a guessing game.
It is. It really is. I mean, you get scenarios where we've got winners who've gone on to become major champions, but the fields are always stacked. There are a lot of guys who haven't necessarily won the tournament, but they've participated. And that list is long. Justin Thomas is another one who's called out this third hole as I think his favorite par 3 ever. He competed here. Scotty Scheffler's competed here. And going back in time, and there's so many others. So you never know what you're going to get. It's a great field this year, though. International, we built up about, I think, 12 or 13 players from different countries. We've got a great mix of mid-ams, juniors, and also your, regular collegiate players as well.
Yes, it's so cool to see I love my favorite picture to take every year is all the bags across the putting green, the practice green, with all the different logos and the different schools and different colors. That's one of my favorite pictures. I try to take it every year. I don't think I did it last year. I think I forgot, but I try to take that picture every year. Let's get into it. We're going to get into the field, but obviously you guys made national news at the media day when when Ben announced that you guys didn't send an invite to Charlie Woods after he finished after he won his AJGA event a couple weeks ago now. Just any update on that? Any more come out of that?
So nothing to report right now. We did send Charlie an invitation. We have not heard yet. The spot's available. We'll just wait and see.
So hopefully, maybe he'll come. Hopefully he'll come. If not, you guys have a great field nonetheless. What goes into that, deciding on whether or not? I mean, obviously he's a junior. I think he's a junior in high school now, down at the Benjamin School. What goes into deciding whether to invite? Not just him personally, but just in general. How does that list work? How does that?
So, we have our automatic qualifying criteria.
Yeah.
There are, a number of spots that come from those criteria. But then, we're looking at world rankings. And obviously we're trying to assemble the best possible field as an elite amateur series event. We're trying to keep this thing as elevated as possible. So beyond our qualifiers, we're trying to attract, top 100 players in the world. And that's kind of our goal.
I talked to Ben about this last year. The Northeast Amateur, like you said, an elite amateur series event, just over the last few years or so, maybe a little bit more. How have you seen that impact the tournament now that's this elevated event type of thing, like on the PGA Tour, an elevated event?
Yeah, I think it's definitely kicked things into high gear. Where we used to start off maybe more slowly building the field, with the Elite Amateur Series, we've definitely seen things ramp up. The fields have filled up quicker. I think there's been a higher level caliber player that's signed up quicker. So we've definitely seen a bump and an improvement in our field quality since that time.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I think, like you said, it's a bump in field quality. This is like the first major amateur event of the season for a lot of these kids that travel all over the country. Somebody was saying that this is like their Masters, where it's one of the only places, perhaps it was one of you guys even, but it's one of the only places where they come every year. So same course essentially every year, same setup. Perhaps a lot of them stay with the same families. I'm not sure how that all transpires, but yeah. It's kind of funny to call it their Masters.
Yeah,
in a way.
That was coined by a really famous golf writer, actually, many years ago.
Oh, okay.
But I think that was, you kind of struck in the right vein. You're coming back to the same venue every year. They see the golf course, they know the golf course. And I think there's also a lot of special things that happen off the golf course. As you mentioned, hosting the kids and having them in the neighborhood. Our membership really comes out in full support of this event. So does the neighborhood as a whole. Within a week's time, a week from now, this little Rumford will be really buzzing with activity. So it's a lot of fun for us. It's a lot of fun for the players, and I think that helps that reputation.
Yeah, it's always so cool to see such a big event here. The signs and the flags are all over the place. The spectacle of it is amazing. When we come back, we're going to get into the field, get into some of the players, and we're also going to hear a cool clip from Ben Crenshaw that I got earlier this week over at the International. This is GolfNewsRI TV. Stay with us.
Now back to GolfNewsRI TV with your host, Joe Calabro, and today's guest, talking everything golf around town and on the tours. Special thanks to our sponsors, Lifetime Medical and Pro Product Web Design.
Welcome back to GolfNewsRI TV. I'm Joe Calabro. We're here at Wannamoisa Country Club ahead of the Northeast Amateur, which is June 18th to the 21st. Come on down, watch some great golf, watch kids that actually know what they're doing, unlike most of us. The cool thing about the Northeast Amateur is there's been so many great players that come through here. And like you mentioned earlier, not necessarily have won the tournament, but have played. A couple years ago, I went to the U.S. Open at Brookline, and I got to ask Scotty Scheffler and Colin Morikawa about their time at the Northeast Amateur. We played that clip last year. Just this past week, I got to go to a media event down at the International in Massachusetts, which is being redone, which was recently redone by Ben Crenshaw and Bill Core. And I asked Gentle Ben about what his memories are of the 1974 Northeast Amateur, which of course he won, and Wannamoisa, and he actually gave me a really cool response. Here's what he had to say.
There's another course that has a badge of honors, par 69 course in Wannamoisa. It's just filled with great golf. One par 5, but there again, Wannamoisa attracted the best players at the time. You always had a great field to try to deal with. But it was a wonderful, intimate golf course. They were just filled with classic Donald Ross holes. And you couldn't help but admire it. and people who love it, preserve it. Courses like that were very much on my forefront. And I remember the guy I stayed with was a guy named Harry Carr. A guy named Harry Carr who just about every night would go into Boston, Fenway Park, and watch a game. And he had a big dog named Muggsy. And I forgot who I was staying with. I was staying with some other golfer, but right on the golf course. But it was just a pleasant time. But we all loved the Northeast Amateur.
All right, so that was Ben Crenshaw. Pretty cool clip. He remembered who he stayed with, and he remembered the dog, which everybody joked about, which everyone was laughing at him for at the media event. Like, who remembers the dog? But he knew the dog. And pretty cool to hear those guys, especially someone like Ben Crenshaw, who's turned himself into a legend of the game in a lot of different ways. Talk about his memories of the Northeast Amateur and being here in Wannamoisett, and he knew exactly what Wannamoisett was, and so it's got to be pretty neat for you to hear.
It's great to hear, and I hope that there are other contestants that have played in the past that would say the same thing, and I'm sure they do. This year's field actually includes Jonathan Bird's son, Jackson Bird. Jonathan won this tournament, I believe, in 1999. It's a pretty neat thing for his son to now be in our field. We were just talking before this about how many maybe father and sons have played in this event. I didn't do my homework enough to know the exact answer, but that's the first one that now comes to mind. So that's
you thought
pretty
it's not
thrilling.
many. You thought not many.
I don't think there are very many. For Ben Crenshaw to remember this place and the light that he does and speak so highly, I think it speaks volumes about the tournament. I think it says a lot about, again, the membership and the experience that all these players get and the way they're treated when they arrive here.
One of the big news coming out of the media day that we had here was Anthony Delasanti, the defending champion, returning. It hasn't happened often, although maybe a little more often now. I know Dylan Minetti repeated, won back-to-back, and I think he even came back a third year, if I'm not mistaken. How big was that for him to come back, and how big was that for the tournament?
It's always great to have a defending champion come back, right? You want to have that guy in the field. It's a special week when you have your defending champion around. It is harder, I think, to actually get them here nowadays with so many opportunities for these elite college players to get Korn Ferry or PGA Tour status. So having him back is a real feather in our cap this year.
And there's obviously a slew of guys also playing. John Daly's son is coming. He's having a nice career at Arkansas, so that'll be cool. I wonder if Big John will be coming.
I don't know if Big John will be coming. You never know. You never know. I don't think we have room for the bus, but we'll see if he shows up. Yeah.
Talk about some of the other guys in the field. Some of the guys that you're excited about seeing. I know there's a whole slew of them.
Yeah, there are a ton of guys. I mean, we've got a lot of guys from Virginia who just had a wonderful season. Paul Chang will be here. We've got Cameron Tankersley is signed up. Jay Sumi. There's a number of really great players. Some juniors. Miles Russell's in our field, #1 junior in the world. Plus, we've got some great returning mid-ams. Stuart Hagestad's probably the headliner in that department. Stuart's had some really great finishes. Garrett Rank is back. He won our Joe Sprague Senior Award for low mid-am last year.
NHL referee.
NHL referee, correct. So yeah, the field is very strong this year. Hard to say right now who's going to show up and have it all together next week, but I expect it'll be a really good tournament.
And there's two locals in the field, Andy Coughlin and Bobby Leopold. Bobby Leopold is the star of the show here in Rhode Island, going for his sixth Rhode Island Amateur Championship this year. Over the years, you guys have had more locals. Obviously, it is what it is. But how important is it to have at least a couple local guys in the field? Obviously, it's varied from year to year as guys play college and pro, whatever. But what does it mean to have a couple locals in the field?
That's an important tradition to the club, right? It is, after all, an RIGA event. Having our club champion, Andy Coughlin, this year in the tournament is always a great thing. And that's a tradition that's gone on for a very long time. And obviously, Bobby Leopold, who happens to be a member here, is a great ambassador for our club and for the tournament. And I think this has got to be over 10 times that he's played in it now. So we're glad they're both in the field this week.
It's always cool. In a couple of years, I know Bobby's made the cut. One year he had the massive putt on 18 to make the cut right on the number, so it's always exciting. And there's been a few years in the past where he's been in somewhat of contention going into the final round or whatever it might be. So hopefully we'll build that back up.
That's right.
To where we get a bunch of bunch of guys. What else are you looking forward to? What else should people look forward to about the Northeast Amateur this year?
Well, I think, it's free to come out and watch the tournament. The club is open to the general public. Come out, experience everything that there is to offer. Enjoy the golf course, enjoy the golf. Stick around. You'll see a lot of great play. You don't know who's going to turn into the next PGA Tour star, but it's fairly certain that every year you've got a handful of guys who go on to make a career of this. So, come out for the week, enjoy it here. Hopefully it's a good weather and a well-contested and tight tournament like we've seen the last couple of years.
Awesome. Well, when we come back, we're going to wrap up with Mick and close out our Northeast Amateur preview here on Golf News RI TV. Stay tuned.
Now back to Golf News RI TV with your host, Joe Calabro, and today's guest, talking everything golf around town and on the tours. Special thanks to our sponsors, Essner Injury Centers and Schoolhouse Apartments.
Welcome back to Golf News RI TV. I'm Joe Calabro here at Wannamoisett Country Club, ahead of the Northeast Amateur, and of course we're so happy to be joined by co-chair Mick Hogan, newly appointed co-chair Mick Hogan. Let's get that straight. Northeast Amateur is June 18th to the 21st here at the club. It's free to come and watch. Some great play, and we're looking forward to covering it. We'll obviously have interviews with a whole slew of players, video content, obviously written content. I don't know if we're going to top last year's Northeast Amateur, or the last two Northeast Amateurs, as you pointed out, because last year was pretty crazy.
It's always a great test. I mean, between our superintendent, Mark Daniels, and his crew, and the golf course they prepare, and what Bob Ward and the RIGA does to obviously set up a championship caliber event. We're certainly hoping that we get something similar to the last 2 years. The previous two have been rather notable. Both the long 5-hole playoff
in the pouring rain.
Yeah, and then the pouring rain, a couple of delays, and the year before that when Nick Dunlap came from behind. So, if we can get something like that, that would be great.
The conditions of the course, how much more work will be done? Obviously pick up green speeds a little bit or whatever it might be.
The course is in terrific condition right now. From here on out, it's really in Mark Daniels' hands. He knows how to prepare this place for the best. Conditions, obviously, weather will play a factor in what we get. By and large, this place will start to show its teeth off the fairways. The rough will be up. Yeah, the greens will start to get slick, and if we can get a little dry weather and some firm conditions, I think we'll start to test the scoring that way. But again, Mother Nature has a little role to play in that.
It's always tough to obviously judge the weather, but these kids now are just so good that you can do almost anything, and they're going to figure it out eventually over the course of 4 rounds, one would think.
Yeah, they have a way of coming in and impressing all of us. They pick up on the subtleties of the greens very quickly, and they manage their golf ball around this place so incredibly well. It's fun to watch.
We followed Davis Chatfield and his run on the Quinn Ferry Tour. As somebody that, obviously with the Northeast Amateur, I'm sure you follow all the alums to a certain extent, maybe not round for round, but you have a general sense of what everyone's doing. As a Northeast Amateur coach here, but also as a Wannamoisett guy, how cool has it been to watch Davis Chatfield play this year on tour and be in contention? And right now, obviously there's a ways to go, but he's in pretty good position to get a PGA Tour card. How cool is that from both a Northeast perspective, but also as a Wannamoisett guy?
Yeah, it's great to watch Davis. He's been working hard at this his entire career. To see him climb to this point is very impressive. We're all rooting for him. I know he's somewhere around 5th in the points as of this morning. Yep. There's no guarantees, but he's on a trajectory towards a potential card, and we'd love to see that happen. Be great for the tournament, and it'd be really cool for our membership for sure.
It'd be great for just Rhode Island.
Rhode Island in general, you're absolutely right. We haven't had a lot of guys come out of Rhode Island in the recent history.
Not recently. Obviously, you had Faxon and Andrade, and those
Correct.
That was
Quigley
years ago.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's been cool to watch him. He's been in contention so many times. I keep saying he's gonna pick one of these tournaments off. But right now, if he stays where he is, like you said, 5th on the points. If he stays where he is, that's obviously gonna be pretty good going into late in the season. But certainly, it's been fun to watch him. And I remember he was in contention in his last, I think his last Northeast Amateur here. Second,
it may have been his last.
They'll blend into one.
Yeah, it may have been his last, and I think he finished 5th. That was a very fun Saturday for the tournament and the club as a whole. There were some pretty good sized galleries that week. Love to see that again this coming tournament. That'd be great.
Absolutely, there definitely will be. So cool to talk to some of these guys. Last year I got to interview Gordon Sargent, who was #1 amateur in the world at that time. Now he's on the pros, so it's always cool for me to get to interview some of these kids and hold on to those interviews, because you never know. Like you talked about, you never know what's going to happen. Some of them, Listen, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Northeast Amateur is June 18th to the 21st here at Wannamoisett Country Club, and we'll have all kinds of coverage on GolfNewsRI.com, video, written content, and more. So thank you. Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks, Joe.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
August 18th at Crestwood Country Club is the Devin Quigley Memorial golf tournament. GolfNewsRI is honored and excited to be the official media partner for it, as we're beginning to crank out some content for the tournament. So for those interested in playing or sponsoring or donating something, the information will be on the screen, but you can email Greg Burke at gburke@uri.edu. He's the URI golf coach, and he's working with the Quigley family to put this tournament together. We're trying to make it into a big thing and to honor Devin Quigley's memory. Devin, of course, passed away in 2023. So the Devin Quigley Memorial Tournament, August 18th at Crestwood Country Club. It's actually his birthday. That's the reason they're having it on that day. We're super excited and honored to be the official media partner of the event, and we've been cranking out tons of content around Devin Quigley, around the tournament, and much more over the next few weeks or so. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. Again, Northeast Amateur, June 18th to the 21st here at Wannamoisett. I'll be here every single day, and hopefully you will too. This has been GolfNewsRI TV. I'm Joe Calabro. We'll talk to you next week for a preview of the Rhode Island Amateur. We're doing amateur to amateur, so you don't want to miss next week's show at Rhode Island Country Club. Talk to you later.
You've been watching GolfNewsRI TV with host Joe Calabro.